American experience. My parents are refugees, coming to the United States with nothing but the clothes on their backs, not speaking a single word of English. And so for me, I grew up in a Hmong household. Growing up in a Hmong household, I didn't have to worry much about anything other than being myself. I spoke Hmong, my parents spoke Hmong, the community in which I grew up in spoke Hmong. So not once did I ever have to think about who I was as a person. I just kind of went with the flow, kind of like a fish in water. I don't think the fish thinks about, oh, this water's nice and warm. You just kind of do it. Some of us stay until 5 in the morning watching K-drama. We just kind of do it, even though we got to work at 7 o'clock in the morning. But it was like that for me until I went to school. And that's when everything changed. When I was in 3rd grade, one of my friends asked me, hey, what are you? And I said to my friend, I'm Hmong. And his response was, what's that? And I thought, man, what is that? I didn't know how to respond. So I told my friend, you know what? Hold that thought. Let me go ask my dad, and I'll come back and answer you tomorrow. So I go home and I talk to my dad. And I ask my dad how Hmong is. I come back the next day to my friend and say, hey, I got the answer. So when he asked me what is Hmong, Hmong are the people who came here after the Vietnam War. So my friend says to me, so you're Vietnamese? No. So what is Hmong? I'm like, you know what? Hold that thought. Let me go ask my dad. So I go ask my dad, come back the next day, and I tell him, oh. So I spoke to my dad. I'm not Vietnamese, I'm Hmong. But my parents are from Laos. Oh, so you're Laos? No, I'm not Laos. So what are you? Same thing again. Hold that thought. I'm gonna go talk to my dad. I go home, and this time I decided, you know what? My dad started to get frustrated with me. Keep on asking the same question over and over. So what did I do? Shamefully, I decided not to ask my dad. And I came up with my own answer. So I go to school, and I see a friend, and I say to the friend, hey, you know what? I lied. I'm actually not Hmong. I'm Chinese. Yes, I know. And when I said that, his eyes lit up like, oh, you mean like Bruce Lee? And I was like, oh, yeah, like Bruce Lee. You know Jackie Chan too, Jet Li? It was the first time that I actually felt seen, that someone actually understood me and related to me. Even though the movies that I watched, Jackie Chan, Jet Li, and Bruce Lee, well, I never got to see Bruce Lee's movies so much at the time. It was Jackie Chan and Jet Li, but they were dubbed in Hmong. I love those movies, and I was able to relate with somebody. So I went with it. Every time someone asked me, what are you? I'm like, you know what, do I explain, do I not? I'm Chinese. It was just so much easier. You know what I didn't find out later on? Sure enough, I wasn't wrong, actually. Hmong people actually originated from China. I didn't know that. And I've been seeing a lot of 23 and whatever, the DNA test, and I've seen that a lot of people who've done that have also shown that genetically we originated from China. So there's a saying in the Hmong language, that says, until we see the Yellow River, our hearts are not settled. When I talked to my dad, he explained to me, these are the words of the Hmong king at the time, before there was conflict between Chinese and Hmong people. There's another word up here that says, what does that mean? The Yellow River City. So if we trace back our language, embedded in our language is also history that teaches us who we are as Hmong people. So as I learn more about the Hmong people, I become much more immersed in it. But I was always very embarrassed because at school I got teased. It was at school that it felt different. It was at school that the stereotypes started to flow in. Kids made fun of the way I looked, my eyes. Kids made fun of the way I dressed. They made fun of the way I smelled. I don't know if they could smell me. They made fun of my language. I had broken language. I couldn't really speak English very well. And so when I was thirsty, I didn't say, teacher, I'm thirsty. I raised my hand and I said, hey, teacher, I'm hungry for water. And that's how I spoke. Because my parents didn't speak a word of English. They didn't teach me at all. And it was hard for me to learn. And I struggled with it. You know what I struggled with the most? And I always felt so embarrassed? It was always during, field trips. All the time. No, it wasn't the field trip itself. It was during lunchtime. Because when we go on field trips, we got two options. The first option is you eat the school lunch, the lunch that the school prepared for you. Option number two is you pack your own lunch. And every time during lunchtime on these trips, I would watch and see what my mom packed for me. At the same time, I would also peek over my shoulder to see what my classmates were eating. What was always in the little brown bag? Out, they pull out little Lunchables. Does anybody know what these things are? Yeah. Lunchables comes out of their bag and they peel out that little sticker, revealing the crunchy little crackers, the nicely cut square cheese, the perfectly cut circular ham slices. And if they're lucky, they might get a little snack in it, M&M's, Kit Kat. And I always wanted it. I always wanted that so bad. Because having that would have meant that I was belonging, that I felt included, and that I was accepted, that I made it. But I didn't get that. You know what I had? Every time I looked into my bag, it was a used grocery bag filled with foil. What do you think is in those foils? I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. Every time I open that, it was either kavu. Imagine getting stopped by TSA and getting your bag searched. They pull it out, you see the chicken feet just curled up in the ball. Oh my goodness. One time, I'll digress a little bit. One time, my grandmother actually asked me to bring home squirrel from Minnesota to California. I got stopped by TSA in foil too. I opened it up. They're like, "What's that?" I'm like, "It's a squirrel." They looked at me and said, "No way. Let me see." I opened it up. It was a squirrel. And it wasn't just a squirrel. It was one that was already burned, you know. No, you don't want to do it. Next time, just say no. But lunchtime, yes, kavu. And then next to kavu too, mont blanc. Purple one just tastes better for some reason. If I'm lucky, sometimes I might even get mosasu. You know what I'm saying? It's good stuff. And then every single time I would pray, "Please, Mom, I love this at home. I love eating at home, but I don't want it during lunchtime. Because if I open this, I kid you not, every head will turn to see who brought papaya salad." You know how potent it is? It tastes so good, but you don't want to get that sauce on your clothes. If you get that sauce on your clothes, wherever you go, heads will turn. I take my word for it. So during trips, I would always feel so embarrassed because while people are eating Lunchables, I'm always wondering what's Mom going to pack for me. Am I going to get embarrassed again? And that was that constant struggle throughout my elementary school. And you know what? That continues on into middle school and into high school. Even in middle school and high school, that's when things got really interesting. Because I started to find that, you know what? I'm only left with 3 decisions. This fork in the road only has 3 different paths. The first path, in terms of social class that I would fit in, is I might be a fob. Does anybody know what fob is? A show of hands. Yes, all of you do, right? Fob. F-O-B. Fresh off the boat. So during my time, it was so hard to decide because being a fob would have been, people would make fun of me and say, "Oh, come on, take your play." And I didn't want to be a fob. Because a fob comes with certain things that, there are a lot of stigmas. And then it was into that where I become Americanized. Take on a different identity. What about this social class here? I can be Americanized. How does this feel? And if I couldn't choose between Bob or being Americanized, then I had a third option, which is, or light passing. That was it. Defy everything, even my parents. But being a Bob was so hard. Because being a Bob, I still wanted to be a part of me. And one of the things that my mom always gets on my case about is my hair, all the time. I kid you not, even when I left the internship, my mom, she flew my dad out and said, "Cởi hết cái rong này mình tu nữa, ta chỉ không có chập lao của rong nữa." Even that time, she still makes that comment. So as a kid, I'm always like, Mom, I want to be a fun Bob. What if my hair look like that? So what does my mom say? La hong ge, or the god ge, light. Well, okay, what if I did this then? La hong kiu the ball ge, light some more. Well, what if I cut my hair short, Mom? What would that be like? Lick to the top or walk out and keep on the ground. God, can you light some more? So I asked my mom, wow, what if I did this? Mom My mom's response, "Tim, all your own movie soon." Does she go again? Lie some more. And I really want to find a part of myself. I'm like, well, Mom, you know what? This is in right now. During my time, K-pop was huge and still huge today. H-O-T. And I wanted that long hair. And if your hair was split down the middle, parted to the side with it behind your ear, you weren't cool. Of course, what did my mom say? God, hiya, lie more. So I said, Mom, all the camera you gave it. All the camera shooting. You got your son to go all the camera. Got son to go, Johnny Mola. Or I have one Mola. And then my mom says, "Oh, you know my time to do it. Nam cho khó không chỉ black hole zone. And then today, look at my hair. It's parted to the side. Mom, you were right. So it was either I was a fob or I was Americanized. Because when I was a fob and I wanted to be very Hmong, quote unquote very Hmong, there was a stigma to that too. And that wasn't cool. So being Hmong was associated with being bad or being not good or being ostracized. And I didn't want to be ostracized. So then I thought, forget about the Hmong part. Let me work on the American part. I'm Hmong American, but how Americanized can I get and what would that be like? So working on my American self, I started to buy all these name brand clothing, Nikes, Jordans, Abercrombie & Fitch, American Eagle, Tommy Hilfiger, Ralph Lauren. I wanted to look like my other peers, my other classmates. I wanted to be American. And it was hard, that dissonance that I talked about earlier. And then I decided, you know what? Go or ride or something. Rather than Jingos. Anybody know the Jingo days? Just by show of hands in the room? Yeah, some of you know what that was like, right? The Jingos? The big old pant legs, skater pants. Sometimes you hang the chain down the leg. You walk a little, the gangster walk, aka gangster. So that's what I did. Bought the Jingo pants, the big pants like that. My mom hated those pants. Every time we go to the store, she would tell me to buy the pants, and the seam goes down, and it knocks to 8 dollars. She's like, get those. I'm like, no, I want those. She gave those when my mom got get lights. I'm like, yep, well I do. And then of course, a lot of girls were bell bottoms during that time. Don't be ashamed, I know who you are. Bell bottoms. But the bell bottoms don't look good, you know why? You gotta pair them with the platform shoes too. The solar shoes that give you 3 inches, all tall. Like drawing your eyebrows a little bit. You know the whole package is gonna do it, right? 我來的是啦，冇啦冇去找，我未嫁去找你給我看，我來的是去 care. So there was a cycle that I kind of went through that just didn't make sense at all. That dissonance kept going, that confusion perpetuated, and I just felt really isolated all the time. And I lost myself. I didn't realize I was losing myself. But it was the journey that I was taking at the time. I'm going to tell a story about my dad. I learned this story from my dad during campfire. Usually during campfire, this is how you know you're going to have a good sleep. When you're on campfire and someone starts the story by saying, you know you're going to have a 2-hour nap. Because that new joke will go on forever. But this one was a short one that my dad told. My dad told us about the lost bag. So this bag gets lost. And the bag wanted to find its family. Isolated, alone, scared, and afraid, the bat wanted to find its family. So flying up and high and low, looking for its family, the bat finally stumbles upon a group of mice. And it looks at the mice and says, "Oh, that might be my family. Look, their snout and their nose look just like mine. That's my family." So then the bat flies down, greets the mice and says, "Hey, I'm home." The mice looks at the bat. "No, you're not home." The bat says, "Look at us. I have the same nose as you. We all share the same nose. You're my family." The mice says, "Yeah, our nose might look the same, but you have wings. We don't have wings. You can't stay." Bat, feeling shocked, not sure what to say, quickly flies off. The bat flies off in search of his family still, wanting to find its family, scared, afraid, and alone. The bat stumbles upon a group of birds. When it sees the birds, the bat thought to itself, "This is my family." Just like the mice said, "I have wings," the mice did it, but hey, they have wings. This is my family. So the bat quickly flies up and greets the flock of birds and says, "Hey, family, the birds look at the bat and says, "No, this is not your family." The bat says, "Why? I have wings, you have wings. You're my family." The flock of birds says, "Yeah, we might have wings, you have wings and we have wings, but take a look at yourself. We have feathers, you don't." The bat was crushed. The mice didn't want me. The flock of birds don't want me either. What am I going to do? It flies by itself for a while, and it stumbles upon a dark cave. The bat thinks to itself, "Well, if the mice don't want me, the birds don't want me. Who else is going to want me?" If nobody wants to accept me for who I am, or these are not my family, I might as well just go and hide in this dark cave. The bat flies directly to the dark cave, and it was home. When I heard this story, I didn't sleep at all during the campfire. If anything, I was in tears. Because that bat was me, flying around trying to find identity as a Hmong American boy. I was Hmong, but I wasn't Hmong enough. I'm an American, I was born and raised here, but I'm not American enough either. And so I hid in a dark cave for a very long time, until I went to search for myself. Because in that dark cave, I started to reflect. This feeling of being lost. That's just not good enough. I don't fit in. I'm not quite like the birds. I'm not quite like the mice. I just don't seem to fit in, and no one seems to accept me for who I am. Even in college, when I got to college, I still struggle with this. People will tell me, you're just lucky you got it because you're Asian. And that crushed me even more. I struggle with that even into college. That's how long it went. This pursuit of perfection. Earlier I talked about how my English was broken. I hungry for water. I wanted to make sure that my English was so good that nobody had the opportunity to make fun of me. And I was on this constant pursuit of perfection, making sure that nobody again had the opportunity to make fun of me. Struggles with imposter syndrome, not knowing who I was, or pretending like I knew who I was. Always fearful that someone might actually find out that I'm actually not that Hmong, or that I'm not that American. And always feeling disempowered. So how do we align ourselves when we're feeling lost? I want all of you to try this with me. Right where you're sitting, if you can all please close your eyes. Close your eyes. And I love this quote by Shannon Adler. It says, one of the greatest regrets in life is being what others would want you to be rather than being yourself. With your eyes closed. If you've ever felt like you didn't belong, raise your hand. Keep those hands up. Open your eyes and take a look around you. See all those hands. We struggle a lot. Some of us found ourselves early. Some of us are like that lost bat. Some of us want to be someone else. We pursue this identity that maybe others want us to be, only to lose ourselves. The thing is that wanting to be someone else is harder than being ourselves, because someone else is already taken. You don't have that opportunity. Being yourself is the best option. Find yourself. When I went to the Bat Cave, I embraced everything about myself. I embraced my Hmongness. I ate out at work. It was not the best time, but I still did it. Mamla was my lunch. If you follow me at Dictumdose, you see that every time I go to the airport, I leave jerky and mamla all the time. I dare not bring out to the airport. Imagine if I opened papaya salad on the plane. Woo! That's not good at all. But I embrace my American identity too, because I too am an American, proud to be here. When I went back to my roots, I found that balance that I was always looking for. When I was too Hmong over here, quote unquote too Hmong, I felt a little off keel. When I went the other direction, I was a little bit too American, I felt a little bit off keel too. Something didn't feel right. But when I embraced myself wholeheartedly, I felt at peace, I felt at home. And that's when I found myself. So, what I want to share with all of you is that deep down inside, everybody has a gift and an ability. But along the way, somehow, the layer starts to grow, kind of like an onion. When an onion grows, it grows slowly, one layer at a time. And throughout life, those layers start to accumulate because of the challenges and struggles that we go through. And the layers, they build upon one another, making it hard for us to see our most truest self, or the core, our most authentic selves. And we lose ourselves in this process. But as you slowly start to untangle those layers, to find who you are, the most truest self, you will come to find that you don't need to be anybody else but yourself. All the skills and talents and abilities that you have is already in you. You already have that. All the dancers on stage today demonstrates all the gifts and talents and abilities that they already have. All of you being here, I'm sure you are an integral part of someone else's life. I'm sure what you've done in your life is also meaningful to other folks, other communities as well. When you find them, you will feel empowered. That's what I did for myself, to feel empowered. I heard Caroline say earlier, all the stories that we share is to empower you to tell your own stories, to empower others. And when you do that, continue to help pull others with you. Because everyone deserves a a chance at life. The beauty of the world lies in the diversity of its people. Our collective difference makes the world a beautiful place. When I flew here in a plane, I can't help but take this picture. Just take a look at this picture here, how beautiful the sky is, all the different colors. Imagine if this color was one single hue of color only, what that would look like. But collectively, all these different colors paints a beautiful canvas. A picture so rich and beautiful. So our differences is not for us to make fun of. It's not supposed to separate us. But collectively, like this picture here, it brings us together and paints this beautiful canvas. Our diversity and who we are makes this world a beautiful place. Nelson Mandela says, there's no passion to be found playing small and settling for a life that is less than the one you're capable of living. Don't play small. We didn't come to this place to play small. Fan Yai-xiong, a famous Hmong singer, also wrote, you were born Hmong to play small. And throughout my life, I've slowly figured that out. That playing small didn't get me anywhere. Because I wasn't born to play small. In my blood, I was born to play big. So now the question, Hmong, what's that? As a kid, I couldn't answer it. But now, as I've gotten older, when people say, Hmong, what's that? Well, that is General Vang Pao. That are the young soldiers who fought in this war for my freedom. That is my dad. When Caroline said that people were being recruited, and more people were being recruited, young soldiers were being recruited, yes, that was happening. My dad was recruited at a very young age. He told me the stories of when he was recruited, he had to be about maybe 13 or 14 years old. The uniform that they gave him was so big, he had to roll up the sleeves in order to see his tiny hands, and roll up his pant leg just to see his feet. And then they handed him a rifle. Can you imagine either yourself doing that or watching your child do that? What's Hmong? Well, Hmong are all the young ladies and women who were recruited as medics to provide medical attention to all the U.S. soldiers, wounded soldiers and wounded Hmong soldiers as well. At least a chance at this thing called life. This history is important for us to remember, because this history also teaches us the resilience behind Hmong people. How no matter how much oppression, no matter how many hardship, no matter what troubles and tribulations we go through, we always come out on top. 1970s until now. Now we have first Hmong judge, Paul Lowe. Also have the first Hmong woman judge as well, Christy Yang. Globally, we also have Miss Bai Lord on one of the largest pageant stages ever, Miss Universe. We also got, who's that? Lexi Vang, one of the first Hmong dancers and singers to become a K-pop star. We also got famous celebrity chef Yeo Vang. We also got Suni Lee. Suni Lee is such an integral part of my daughter's life. Because my daughter loves gymnastics, and whenever she goes to the different gyms, they would always ask, what are you? Her response is, I'm Hmong. And then, of course, the same answer, Hmong. What's that? Her response, oh, you know the Olympic gold medalist Suni Lee? No, not yes. Then she'll say, yeah, Hmong like Suni Lee. You see, I didn't have that growing up. But now I'm encouraged. I see all the young scholars up here dancing. I see folks going to Stanford. I see all young scholars dressed up in Hmong clothing. I'm encouraged. Because that tells me that this next generation is on track to do big things. Chef Yeo Vang has put cooking or food on television, national television. We have many other Hmong individuals who are also doctors, lawyers, and nurses and engineers. Hmong people are doing great things. all of you are doing great things. So, one Hmong rule that I really like as I start to wrap this up here is, when you talk about the show, we have in all that. Jala chachi, like a red rice cannot be washed white. You know that purple rice that you saw earlier? The reason why it's purple is because of a grain of rice that's really dark and purple. So when you mix it, all the other rice turns purple. But the rice that was used to change the color of the other rice doesn't change. That's not going to change. So be proud of yourself. So today what we're going to do is, we're all going to power up. I'm going to have all of you stand up right now. Go time. What I want you to do is, stand up, get a good stretch, because we're going to move a little bit. To the person on your left, look at that person and tell them, you are awesome. Now turn to the person to your right, look that person in the eye and say, you are enough. Now turn to the person behind you and tell that person, you are worthy of love. Now face back in the front here, and with me, I want you all to raise your hand up as high as you can. And this next part here, I want you to do this purposefully with intention. I want you to reach back and give yourself a pat on the back. And follow me. Say to yourself, I am proud of myself. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Dr.